Everybody, Unarrested here, coming back after a weekend of 3 non-days of video. Wow, that's I think the longest break I've taken from video, gosh, in 2014? Nah, I think I've taken longer than that. I think I kind of got a slow start at the beginning of 2014, but I'm very, very happy that this has been a very productive year so far. Speaking about a productive year, I've gotten a lot of work done on finishing up my most recent horror movie. Yes, I'm still editing that every day. I actually recently finished up the Osoroshi Chronicles book that's connected to it. Surprisingly, went pretty fast, but the binding came out in it, and I have to rebind it, so I'm a little bit upset about that. A little bit of news from Japan here. There was a 6-year-old's body found in Kobe, which is incredibly sad, especially if you've had kids like me. It becomes far more traumatizing when you read that in the newspaper. It was a out-of-work salaryman at 40 years old, I think 40-something years old, who had done it. They found him a business card left in the trash bag wrapped around her body, and that's how they knew who did it. Other news, a 17-year-old girl here stabbed her mom and her grandmother to death, and her reason for doing so was to be free. That's the quote she gave the police. She wanted to escape her grandmother and mother and be free. Now, I guess you could build up in her defense that she apparently lived a abused childhood. Her sister vouched for that. But if you want to be free, I don't suggest killing anybody, because that's going to do the opposite. It's a sad situation. I tend to see this happen a lot, but I think it's only because this is reported as one of the most major crimes here in Japan. If there's shootings in America, obviously those take default over anybody having domestic violence or domestic murder taking place in their own family or home, and it tends to be the news about gun violence instead. So I don't think it's any more, any less in Japan as far as family violence is concerned. I think you just see stabbings, number one, because there's no guns. People don't have guns to shoot their family members. And so the next weapon usually chosen is a knife, sometimes a baseball bat too. And that's why we see this a lot in the news. Sad but true, unfortunately. Moving along, stuff I have been doing in my free time is working on props for my future cyberpunk movie. We have a couple people working on this, and it's actually other people who live here in Japan with me, which is great. I'm very happy to be working on a movie with more than just myself. The horror movie I'm actually going to put out was filmed by me and Bjorn, also known as Grand. You may know who he is. Probably when you see him in the movie, you'll be like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy talking to Unrested before. And another guy named Chris. I don't know if he wants me to shout out his last name, so I'm just going to keep that quiet. Drunken Prayer on YouTube. And he's in the movie too as the monster. So that's good. And this movie also will be like this. Sorry, we got somebody vacuuming right next to me again. It's a little bit annoying. And we're going to have a couple different actors, a couple different actual writers. I'm writing a little bit of it, but not a lot, because I'll be honest, I'm not the most creative writer, both grammatically and story-wise. And we've got mostly me making the props, though, I will say. We got costumes, of course. We're not just going to be like, pretend we're cyberpunk. Imagine that we are in the future. Like, you know. We've got some settings chosen. Obviously, Japan, you can pretty much just pick a spot that is, you know, futuristic looking. It's pretty easy to find here in Japan. Aside from that, we're actually soon going to be looking for somebody. If you are good with Photoshop, please get at me. We want to make a kind of title screen, title banner, poster. I think it'll be used for all of those. That's why I'm saying all these different things. And what it's going to be is kind of like a city landscape done in a grid style, like old school 1980s graphics, 1990s graphics, grid style. And the name of the movie that I've got for a working title right now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay forever. It's not set in stone. It's literally written in pencil. Is Void Dropper. And we're just going to put that in there right now and see how it fits so that we can go through a couple different fonts until we choose what we want. Void Dropper is the name of the movie. It's going to be over top of a, I don't know, what do you call those? The wireframe cityscape background, kind of like the wireframe background on the cover of Blood Dragon for Far Cry 3 DLC. If you guys know what I'm talking about, that was a very esoteric reference if you're not into video games. Anyway, guys, I think that's a pretty decent update for today. Do not worry. I think if everything goes right, and yeah, I guess I can kind of make this promise now, I want to put the newest horror movie out at the end of this month because, well, when would be better to put out a horror movie than October 31st? Unless something goes horribly wrong, which it could. I never doubt that because editing can be a bitch. I hope to put it out then. You can look for it then. Until next time, I'm Unrested. If you like what you heard and saw here today, please subscribe. Until next time, see ya.